Hey guys, thanks for stopping by and checking out this video. So what you see in front of you, this is a 1/4 scale unlicensed Magneto from many moons ago. Okay, it's regarded as probably to this day stock. I feel the best Magneto. I know a lot of other people feel that way too. And now after I've done what I've done to it, I hope it takes the title. That's why I do this. I'm not doing this to be, second place. I want to be the best. That's it. That's what I want to do. So I spent a lot of time engineering this. I basically drew up prints, all the different pieces that needed to fit together and come together for the bigger picture here. And you'll see throughout the video, it's just a lot of time, labor, and TLC that went into this. I pour my heart into this. This is time I take away from spending with my family, and I do it because I have a passion for it. I don't do it because I want to make money. I'm not doing it because I want to flip statues. I do it because I like it. I grew up on the characters, and that's why I'm doing this. I'm actually more so doing it for the character, so they have a proper representation in my eyes than any other reason. And that might sound nutty, but that's me. So I got this statue in many pieces that were unusable. The body had a lot of damage on it. There was multiple cracking, breaks, fingers gone. This thing, it was jacked up. The portraits were messed up. Not to mention I had no usable cape, which the collar came attached to, and I had no usable base, let alone the bones of the Wolverine, the stock Magneto. I wouldn't have used anyway because they didn't make sense. Magneto never did that to Wolverine. He didn't remove his skeleton. From initially seeing this statue back in the day when it was released, that just jumped out at me, and I was like, I'll never display that skeleton if I get that piece. Anyway, I didn't get the skeleton with this piece, so that's one less problem to address. So coming around the corner right now over his shoulder, you'll see this collar. This collar was sculpted from scratch. Those are stainless steel dome rivets that I countersunk into the collar while the sculpt was still hardening. There's a whole tutorial on this, many pictures on my Facebook if you want to check it out. It's Warren resin, and the base, which is just a piece of art in itself, is a solid, very heavy piece of machined aluminum. And I just felt like anywhere I could tie in metal to this guy, because he's Magneto, it seemed necessary, and I kind of do that anyway, so they worked hand in hand. So on the paint scheme, I went basically traditional. I gave him a little bit of a battle damage. I just like that look, and I like Magneto like he's in battle. Besides the fact that it looks cool, it's an extra layer of details that you could put in there that you don't have to put in there. I could have very easily just fixed this thing up, slapped some paint on it, and flipped it. But that's not how I roll. That's not what I do. This is a lot of time, a lot of love went into this. So you can see his hand, there's an energy glow that matches his eye. You'll see later in the video what that is about. It all ties together. And there's just, as the video progresses, I'm hoping that you can see like the layers that build this masterpiece. For me personally, it's I think the best thing I've done so far. I don't know if I could top it, and that makes me feel happy. So yeah, again, the paint scheme is pretty normal besides the battle damage. I imagine that there's a lot of pieces of his costume that are metal, and he controls it. That's how the costume forms around him. And then there's pieces that are fabric. So the fabric have a more matte sheen, whereas the metal have a luminescent gloss where the paint isn't peeled back, from the battle damage. Same thing with the helmet. I imagine he made his helmet, but wherever there's places that, I don't think the guy controls paint, it's just metal. So at some point he's got to take his pieces to the detailer and get them repainted. So where the paint would chip, I did add a little bit of a battle damage there. And what I'll do is I'll get closer now. Actually, no, what I'll do, I'll put the other portrait on and then do a couple turnarounds on that, and then I'll highlight the base. Okay guys, so here we have a slightly different angle, and I put on the unhelmeted portrait. I have slowly begun to prefer this portrait because I tried really hard to do a lot better on my skin tones, and I think I really pulled it off. I see a lot of beautiful paint ups online, and you know, I always want to grow and learn, and I think the skin tones are really nice on this, so I prefer this personally. The helmeted head was very difficult because I couldn't remove the helmet without possibly breaking it further. So to paint around the helmet, the opening and inside was very difficult. This I had a lot more mobility and could do a lot more effects that I practiced on. I did for the first time, and I really like how they came out. So this is that portrait, and this is basically the what I would consider the first display option. And I'll move on to the next. Okay guys, here's the first display option. Although it's kind of been played out at this point, the Sentinel debris base. This is a hand. It's pretty much life size, and we've seen that before. But what we have not seen is the retractable tentacle that shoots out of the Sentinel hand that they capture the mutants with, paying homage to the cartoon from back in the day. So I thought it would be pretty cool to add another layer of, you know, just action and making it dynamic. And I get to add another piece of metal to it. And if you've noticed, there's a lot of metal going on in this piece. So Magneto is actually using it. It's selling the fact that he's using his powers. It's coiling around him, coiling around his hand like a snake, which he's going to basically project at his target, or just look pretty badass just doing that. It has a grappling hook at the end, all made out of metal. It's really cool. It really, that little aspect really helps, I feel, accentuate the character and his ability set. And I'll show you next with the helmet on. Okay, so coming around now, I changed the portrait for you, and you can see it looks really cool. I'm proud of this feature. And again, there's multiple display options with this. You could display just the Sentinel without the tentacle. You can display him just on the metal base. You could display him with the sphere that's coming up later in the video, and you could display him with all together if you'd like, in addition with changing the different portraits. And what's really cool is a little bonus feature is the hand actually lights up of the Sentinel, the center. I will show you that. Okay there guys, so you can see that the Sentinel hand lights up, which is a cool effect. It's not a whole lot of light. I'll kill this one. You know, it's a little up light, but it's really cool. Just a little extra little feature that comes with it. So yeah, now we'll go into the really cool aspect of this piece. Okay guys, so you know, saving the best for last in this video. So this is the energy sphere for Magneto. This was a crazy process to pull this off. Yeah, I dealt with a lot of materials I don't normally do. I had an initial idea of doing this, but the biggest issue is the scale of the piece. I mean, you know, he's 20 plus inches. Everything that I did from a design point, from the base, the depth of the base, basically the overall engineering that went to this piece, it's more than I've ever done before. And because I took all those extra steps, I was able to pull this off. Where things that you look at this, where there's like things you wouldn't notice to the naked eye, where there's clearances, and you know, it was an ordeal. But the final product that you're looking at right now, I'm super proud of. And this is you know, there's a couple ways to go about this. I could put him into a full sphere. Issue with that is I tried, and it just had a snow globe feel to it. It felt like a giant snow globe, and it took away from the beauty of the piece per se. So I was experimenting with other ways to pull this off, and I decided, let me try and make it look like he's forming the bubble around him. So you get that real dynamic feel to the piece. I tied that in with the energy glow on his hand and his eyes. So when you look at this thing, it really all comes together, like he's mid-formation of the sphere. I textured the entire sphere, so when it is lit up from underneath, which I'll show you next, the texture really helps that pop. It diffuses the light. And again, everything was planned out from the beginning. And I've got at least 2 years of design work into this. I know that sounds like that's crazy, but I wasn't doing it 24/7, but slowly but surely building up the items I needed to pull this off. And again, I didn't need to do any of this. I could have just fixed this guy up and put him in my collection or did whatever I wanted to do with him. But for me, I wanted, for myself or for somebody else, to have a one of a kind. And I'm such an advocate of that, because whether it's an unlicensed kit, which this was back in the day, or a Magneto that Sideshow's putting out, they're all going to be very similar. Everyone's going to have the same thing sitting on their shelf, and I want there to be an originality, just a feel of having something that's unique, and that's what is most important with any pieces that I do. And I don't feel like this one will be matched anytime soon. Not to sound arrogant, but I'm sure that this idea has been approached before in the past. Anyone who knows comic books or the character Magneto, let's make a dynamic statue, put him in a sphere. But when it came down to the logistics of it, we never have seen one yet. So it was really cool that I took a first stab at it. And I think I did. I think I knocked that out of the park here. Everyone who sees this they're really taken back by it, and I want that in all my pieces. I want, I'm a very slow customizer. You have pieces with me for a very, very long time, but this is the kind of things that you get, so it's worth it. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I am going to put them on 360 real quick and shut up, let you enjoy it, and then after that I'll put a little quick video of the lighting feature so you can see how that works and get an idea for that. And that's it, guys. I really appreciate you stopping by and checking out the video. I hope you like my Magneto. He's got a crazy amount of different display options. I think it's like 12 plus different display possibilities you can have for this guy, but personally, if I had him, you're looking at how he would be displayed. Anyway, good to have options. Hopefully I can compete with myself on the next projects that come out as far as this. And if you're interested to stick around and subscribe, like, and do the usual, I'm going to try and keep pushing myself further. Thanks again for stopping by. Appreciate it. And as always, more to come. Okay guys, so here it is lit up, and this is the tricky part, because trying to capture this on video is very hard. There's an uplighting that comes from underneath that's part of the second tier of the base. So again, the way this breaks down is multiple options, but the second tier, the top tier, is only there literally to house the LEDs. It's very nice looking, because it's machined, but you don't really need it if you're not going to display the lights. And the cool part about that is it adds another display option. So with this, you have the ambient uplighting, which will look really cool on your shelf. And again, it's tough, because trying to get the lights to look bright is just really tough. So What's cool about this is I have it on the remote control. I don't really know if I like the remote control too much because the transformer you need is rather large, and it's not that easy to hide. There's a more direct route that I would prefer to use, but that'll also be part of the statue. Anyway, but this one's cool because you can literally change the lighting from remote, green, red, you know, so it's cool. And that is the light up feature, which in person really is it's spectacular, but hard again to convey in the video.
How did you do that?
With style, Petit. With style.